Hi, my name is Megan. Welcome to My Homeschool. If you're new here, I'm a second generation homeschooler, and I hope that the words and thoughts that I share here can bring you some encouragement along your homeschool journey. So today I wanted to take a minute to address a lot of the lies that I hear people told or that have actually been told to me about homeschooling, and hopefully just kind of remove some of the weight on that. I do want to add a little caveat though, that a lot of times people who come to you with these lies or come to you with these arguments against homeschooling very much already have their mind made up that homeschooling is a terrible thing and you shouldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever, that's fine. I'm not giving you these answers so you can go argue with them. I'm giving you these answers so you can hold them on in yourself and hold on to them for yourself to know that you're making the decision that's best for your family. Because this is something that affects you and your family, not that other person. So the other person needs to let it go. You don't need to try to convince them. You just need to be solid in what you're believing. The first one that I hear people say a lot of times is that, well, what makes you think you're qualified to teach your kids? Or I'll have moms say, oh, I wanted to homeschool, but I just didn't feel like I was qualified. And for me, my heart kind of breaks when I hear that, because I actually did the research one time, and I believe it's by the time your child is 5 years old and ready to start preschool or kindergarten at 5 or whatever, you already have a PhD in your child. If we simply look at hours put into time with your kid, even if you're not a stay-at-home parent, you have well past a master's degree, like in just your child. And so it's one of those things. It makes me laugh when people say that you're not qualified, because who knows your child better than you? You know how their sleep schedule affects their next day. You know what the previous weekend held and how their naps were off, and so therefore they didn't have this, or they had this disappointment, so therefore this week is emotionally a struggle because of that. And you know the inner workings of your child inside and out better than anybody else, because you're their parent. And so to think that you need to have an extra certificate or degree on top of that to be qualified to teach your kid, to me, frankly, is ridiculous. I mean, at this point in time that your child is getting ready to start school, you've taught them how to get dressed, you've taught them how to go to the bathroom, you've taught them how to feed themselves without making too big of a mess. Like, you've taught them how to walk, how to talk and have conversations, like the right words for things. So why now are you suddenly not qualified to teach them anything else? I mean, you don't have to know all the things to teach your kid. That's what the curriculum is for. The curriculum is the answer key, not you. You just have to facilitate the curriculum and help your child in their learning style. That's what matters, not you having some degree and knowing how to manage 30 kids, because you're not managing 30 kids. You're managing your children, and you already know how to parent your kids. So you're simply parenting at home while teaching them something else out of a book. It's not that complicated. And I think a lot of times we try to make homeschooling, or people perceive homeschooling as this huge momentous task, and oh my gosh, it's this mammoth undertaking. And it's really not. You're just parenting, and then you add in some schoolwork on top of it. And it's not even like schoolwork. Like, it doesn't need to be as complicated as people try to make it. And you're more than qualified to teach your child. Another lie that I hear a lot of times is that kids aren't socially adjusted as homeschoolers, which is ridiculous to me, because I heard this being said when I was a kid. And I'm like, really? It's been like 30 some years now. Like, we're still using this as an excuse that's anti-homeschool, is that kids are socially awkward. If you've met a homeschooler today that's like, was homeschooled growing up, like someone from my generation, I don't really view them as socially awkward people. I mean, I was able to go to college and get a degree and hold down multiple jobs and all of these things. I traveled the world. Like, I did all things that I feel like socially awkward people would not be able to do. And so the fact that that's still a thing is kind of ridiculous to me, especially when you consider that, okay, social interaction happens at home, especially if your child has siblings. Like, that's an excellent way for your child to learn social interaction, because I guarantee you their siblings have different interests and different personalities than they do. They're different ages. I mean, unless you have twins or triplets or something. They're also dealing with the parents who are different ages and authority figures, and they get chances as they go with you throughout normal life, because you're homeschooling, so you take them with you more places. So my kids run errands with me every day when we go to the grocery store or the post office or the zoo or whatever. They're coming with me on these trips. So they learn to communicate with other adults and that kind of thing. School is the only place where you're magically in a classroom with everyone else that's the exact same age as you. You're all forced to study the same topic. You're all forced to talk about the same thing. It's not that way at any job you hold down. Everyone at a job comes from different backgrounds and demographics and live in different parts of town. School's the only thing that gives you this weird fake bubble that nothing else in life applies to. So why would people think that homeschooling is different? Homeschooling is actually closer to real life socialization than actually being in a classroom is. And so to me, the idea that homeschoolers are socially awkward, I really don't think is true. And I mean, I grew up out in the country. We were 30-minute drive from the nearest gas station, post office, anything. Like, we were out there. Our closest neighbors were a mile away. I didn't do extracurricular activities. I was homeschooled and I was home with my siblings, and my parents would take me to church. And so like that was my socialization, was home and church. And I think I turned out fine. My husband will tell you that I was the first homeschooler he had met that wasn't weird. And so I do admit there are socially awkward homeschoolers, but I feel like that's more parents that aren't willing to teach their kids how to talk to an adult. If you're just intentional in parenting, your kids aren't going to be socially awkward. One thing that I kind of addressed in that last topic there was that you have to do extracurriculars. Growing up, I did not. So, well, I take that back. I did do some drama in high school after I had my driver's license and could drive myself to the local high school to participate in their drama class. But it wasn't like I was in sports. I didn't do dance class or that kind of thing. Like, I took music lessons, but it was like I would go to my music teacher's house and do a lesson and come home. Like, it wasn't like I was in band or choir or that kind of thing. And it's not a big deal. Like, I feel like a lot of the arguments that people put toward extracurriculars is that your child needs to learn how to learn from someone else. And there's lots of ways for them to learn how to learn from someone else. It doesn't have to be extracurriculars. It's okay, I promise. Or they think that, you know, your child is never going to respect other authority figures. Well, that's a parenting issue. And extracurricular activities isn't going to solve that parenting issue. It's you as a parent teaching your child to respect other authority figures. Not that extracurriculars are bad by any means. And also, just so you know, in the majority, I know it's this way here in Colorado. I don't know how it is at every other state. But in Colorado, public schools have to let your kids be involved in extracurriculars. Like, they have to give them the same tryout and fair chance that they give every kid at the school. So it's not like because you're homeschooled, they'll never have the opportunity to. No, homeschoolers have just as many opportunities for that kind of thing. But I also don't want you to feel that it's this pressure that you have to do it and you have to add one more thing onto your child's plate. And if they don't, then they'll be, you know, crushed for the rest of their life. No, they'll be fine. One line that I hear a lot of times, not as much anymore, it was more an issue when I was a kid, I feel like, is that people were worried about like, well, how are you going to get into college? It's like, the same way that you do. It's fine. You apply and they accept you. I have 3 older siblings. 2 of them chose to go to college, and along with myself, all 3 of us got accepted. It was not a big drama thing. It was not a big rigmarole. Like, we applied, we got accepted, we went. It was fine. One of my brothers chose not to finish college because he ended up working in politics and doing that kind of thing, which he was very successful and is still very successful in his career. My sister graduated with honors from her school. I graduated with honors from my school. So I don't think that homeschoolers in college is really a fair thing anymore, but sometimes I still hear that lie come up. A lot of times too, people will say, well, I'll homeschool up until high school and then I have to put my kids into high school, or high school is just going to be so much harder. Like, I just can't handle. Oh my gosh. And I hear so many homeschool moms be so scared about high school, which makes me really sad because I don't get why you're scared about it. And I realize I don't have a high schooler. I get that. However, I was homeschooled through high school. Like, I was homeschooled kindergarten all the way to 12th grade, 100%. Never went to a different kind of school. And for me, I never felt that my high school education was lacking. If anything, I felt like it was better because I could actually learn what I wanted to learn and learn things that were going to help me in life. Whereas my friends in public school were learning random math things that they don't use in any of their careers now, even though some of them are teachers. I was learning how to do accounting and balance a checkbook and how interest rates apply and what it looks like with loans and mortgages and that kind of thing. So I was learning actual budgeting things and like how to file your taxes and all this stuff that we always say, oh, I wish they taught me that in high school. I learned that in high school and it has helped me in my life. So it's one of those things to me, I'm like, actually, You can make high school be better because you can make it more specific to what your child is interested in. So don't be afraid of it. Like I said, you're qualified. Just find a curriculum that you like and use that curriculum. One thing that I hear a lot of moms say, and it's not necessarily a lie, it's more just a concern that I hear moms say when they're considering homeschooling, and then they let it be a stumbling block to keep them from something that they want to do. And they'll say, well, I'm just worried I'm going to leave something out. And I am here to tell you as a friend, yes, you are going to leave it out. There's gonna be gaps in your child's education, and that's okay. There's gaps in everybody's education. It's not possible to teach all the things to everybody all the time. There's gonna be gaps, and that's okay. My philosophy with homeschooling is not that I'm trying to teach my child all the things and have them be a master of all these topics, and they know everything from Charlemagne to chemistry to physics to all the, nope, I don't need to know Shakespeare as well. We're fine. What my goal is, I'm Charlotte Mason inspired, I would say, as a homeschooler. I follow a broad feast of topics. We probably won't go super in depth on any one. I don't expect my child to remember everything. Like, for example, this spring, my daughter and I are studying Manet. I don't expect her to remember everything about Manet. My goal with doing an artist study is for her to become familiar with different styles of artwork and to appreciate it, not to memorize it and know everything about it and analyze it to death. I'm more providing a taste of things for them as opposed to mastery in every subject. Because with homeschooling, I'm trying to teach my child how to learn and how to appreciate learning. If they know how to learn and how to appreciate learning, they will be lifelong learners and continue to learn and study things throughout their entire lives. And that's what I really want for them. I want my kids to be lifelong learners, to continue to study throughout their lives, to continue to pursue what interests them, to continue to dive into topics and to learn how to get proper information on those topics. That's my goal as a teacher. Sorry for the angle and lighting change. My camera died and I had to charge it really quick. The last couple of things that I want to share with you guys are going to be kind of blunt, but I am coming from a place of love, so I want you to know I'm saying this as your friend. A lot of times I will hear parents say that, oh, I just don't have enough patience to homeschool or endurance, or I'm not organized enough. Or they'll say things like, well, my kids just won't listen to me, or they'd learn better from someone at school and that kind of thing. I do think there's a time for like a tutor or someone else teaching. Like, I know with math when I was in high school, it just wasn't working the way my mom was trying to explain it. And so she ended up finding some DVDs that I could watch that would like explain the lesson. And it was the same lesson out of the same book, but the DVD just made sense. And so like, I understand that part of it, but I think a lot of times parents will use those excuses as excuses instead of valid reasons for choosing a different option than homeschooling. To me, that is just laziness on your part as a parent. I am not a naturally type A person. I'm not naturally organized or good at cleaning or really good at consistency. Like, these are not natural tendencies that I have. They're all kind of things that you need to have, maybe not cleaning as much, but like being organized, being consistent, being steady are all things that are very important with homeschooling. But rather than say, well, my personality is just not that way, so guess I can't homeschool, instead I chose to view that as, I know where my strengths and my weaknesses are. I need to live in my strengths, grow my weaknesses, be open to criticism and feedback and insight from people about my weaknesses and my blind spots so that I can grow them more and really just move forward as a family with that. Because my shortcomings as a parent are not my children's fault or responsibility, and they should not have to bear the repercussions of that. That is my job as a parent to figure out how to address that, how to grow in those areas. A lot of times I will hear parents say, well, my kid just won't listen to me, or that kind of thing. And to be very blunt, that's a parenting problem. That is not a homeschooling problem. That is a parenting problem. And that is something that you as a parent need to work on, because they're not going to listen to you any better just because they're in a big classroom with a bunch of other kids. They need to learn how to listen and respect and obey you. I'm not going to pretend like I'm a perfect parent. I'm not going to pretend like I have that figured out. Just this morning at breakfast, my son and I, we had to go through a process of him being respectful and honoring his mother and not arguing with me or talking back or, that kind of thing. And it was a process that we had to go through. It's my job to stand firm and to go through that with him, not pawn him off on someone else because it's too difficult for me. I need to learn to grow as a parent and handle the situation that I've been given. To end us on a lighter note, your children were given to you for a reason. In my opinion, God gave them to you. And so, because He gave you those kids, whether they are your children biologically, or they're your stepchildren, or you adopted them, or they're your foster kids that are in your home for a season, God put them in your home and in your charge and under your responsibility for a reason. He is going to equip you to do what you need to do for those kids. And honestly, all the small stuff, and honestly, a lot of the big stuff too, it's all figure it outable. I realize that's not really a word, but it is. Like everything, you can figure it out. If you're willing to put in the time and the effort and to seek wise counsel from friends and neighbors or family members or, like I said before, like homeschool conferences or books or podcasts or that kind of thing, seek out wise counsel. You'll be able to figure it out. Like if you're willing to put in the time and the effort, you can figure it out. You can come up with a solution that works for you and your family. And if you have a bad homeschool year, okay. All right, it was 1 year. It's not the end of the world. Bad homeschool day, definitely not the end of the world. Homeschool week, month, semester, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. It's okay. I just hope that me talking about some of these have helped you guys and encouraged you. Hopefully I lifted off some weight. Please like and comment down below. What are some struggles that you've maybe had to go through with the decision of homeschooling, or lies that maybe you believed in the past and how you figured out how to get over them, or things that you've heard people say? I'd love to hear that. I know it would be helpful for other moms as well as they're going through here. But yeah, please share and let me know what's been on your heart in this topic too. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time.